Javier Milei's premiership in Argentina has been a maelstrom of economic turmoil during his first 100 days in office.
Turismo y deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera.
Gastar y gastar y gastar.
Ahí está, es un piquetero. Ahí está.
Consider this. Severe cuts to public spending and a precipitous drop in the currency's value have sent shockwaves across the country. Argentina is struggling with inflation and into a recession, a future prophesied by Milei himself. But amidst the chaos, there's a glimmer of hope. Despite the storm clouds brewing over the economy, Milei has managed to retain an unexpected air of popularity. How, you ask? Well, that's precisely what we're here to unravel. Join us as we plunge headfirst into Argentina's economic crisis. We'll examine the effectiveness of Milei's changes, wonder why his star remains so bright in the public eye, and investigate whether his efforts are genuinely bringing Argentina's economy back on track. It's a story about ambition, adversity, and the delicate balance between political power and public perception. So, in today's video, let's look into the twists and turns of Javier Milei's premiership. We promise to keep it riveting and engaging.
Argentina, under its libertarian president Javier Milei, achieved a budget surplus in January, the first full month of his presidency. Argentina recorded a budget surplus of over $620 million in January. This was Argentina's first budget surplus since 2012.
Milei took office with lofty ambitions to stabilize Argentina's budget by drastically cutting government spending. He intended for a 40% reduction in budget, envisioning a more streamlined government with fewer ministries and privatized state enterprises. However, his route to fiscal balance has been fraught with difficulties. First, despite his big campaign pledges, Milei's approach has been more moderate in practice. His cabinet comprises establishment players, and his finance minister has ties to prior administrations notorious for borrowing activities, which contradicts Milei's opposition to dollar-denominated debt. Secondly, legislative and provincial resistance has slowed down the implementation of Milei's most radical policies. Landmark bills and economic reform packages have faced hurdles in Argentina's Congress and courts. Moreover, provincial governors have pushed back against his reforms, reigniting debates about federalism in Argentine politics. In addition, Milei's foreign policy, particularly in relation to China, has been more moderate than his campaign rhetoric. While initially stating intentions to cut trade links with China for ideological reasons, Milei has since pivoted to retaining bilateral relations, most likely to protect Argentina's advantageous swap line with China. Despite these hurdles, Milei has achieved significant progress in reducing government spending, with a 12% reduction year-on-year. His strategy includes abolishing pricing restrictions, reducing energy and transportation subsidies, and abstaining from raising spending in specific sectors to combat inflation. Milei's goal of dollarization remains elusive due to current obstacles, mainly a lack of sufficient reserves. In the short term, he has taken a different approach, depreciating the peso by around 50% against the dollar. This step is intended to bring the official exchange rate closer to the market rate, which has historically been much higher than the government's declared rate. Argentina has struggled with multiple exchange rates for much of its modern history, the official rate set by the government and the unofficial, or blue, rate that reflects the true market value. Milei's decision to match the official rate to the market rate represents a substantial shift in monetary policy. However, this devaluation has had short-term repercussions, including a spike in inflation, which reached a peak of 276% in February. Despite these challenges, Milei has pursued a strategy of cutting interest rates to stimulate investment and reduce the central bank's interest payments on debts. This move, paradoxically, aims to lower inflation by decreasing the overall money supply. While these policies have resulted in short-term economic damage, such as a recession and higher poverty rates, there are signs of success. Inflation has begun to fall month after month, and the government reported a budget surplus in January and February for the first time in more than a decade. Furthermore, Argentina's borrowing costs have fallen, indicating increasing trust among international investors, and foreign exchange reserves have climbed by $7 billion under Milei's leadership. Dollarization is not viable for rapid implementation due to the enormous reserves required, which are projected to be over $50 billion. Instead, Mill has moved its focus to currency competitiveness, allowing transactions in both dollars and pesos. Dollarization remains a long-term aim, likely to be achieved after other reforms if Mill can overcome the obstacles provided by Congress. Mill's method of maintaining popularity while implementing reforms is a difficult balancing act based on public perception and political maneuvering. Despite major economic issues, Mill has maintained relatively high levels of popularity by effectively blaming the country's shortcomings on the political system. This blame-shifting strategy enables Mill to position himself as an outsider fighting against established interests, appealing to a people dissatisfied with traditional politics. Mill cultivates a positive image among the electorate by portraying himself as a reformer challenging the status order, especially in the face of economic distress. Simultaneously, Mill has implemented important economic changes to alleviate Argentina's fiscal challenges. These changes include reducing government spending, depreciating the peso to reflect market rates, and lowering lending rates to encourage investment. These policies are critical for stabilizing the economy and attracting foreign investment. By adopting these changes, Mill demonstrates a commitment to addressing the underlying causes of Argentina's economic problems. Despite the short-term suffering caused by austerity measures and inflationary pressures, the long-term advantages of these reforms are predicted to surpass the immediate difficulties. Overall, Mill's ability to maintain popularity while implementing bold economic reforms underscores his political acumen and strategic prowess. By leveraging public sentiment and enacting substantive policy changes, Mill positions himself as a transformative leader capable of steering Argentina towards a brighter economic future. The reforms implemented under Mill's premiership have definitely created short-term economic issues for Argentina. These issues include dealing with a recession, rising inflation rates, and an unpleasant increase in poverty levels. These results, while to some extent predictable, have surely generated discomfort and anxiety among the public. However, despite the storm clouds of economic distress, rays of optimism begin to appear. Signs of promise, such as a steady decline in inflation and the unexpected appearance of a budget surplus, provide a light of hope in an otherwise bleak economic landscape. These factors point to the possibility of stabilization and ultimate recovery, bringing some relief amidst the upheaval. However, as Argentina navigates these economic hardships, Mill faces a complex series of political challenges. Maintaining popularity while implementing vital, but frequently unpopular reforms requires a fine balance. On the one hand, Mill's campaign against the established political establishment appeals to a disillusioned electorate, casting him as a change agent. However, in order for legislation to succeed, this disobedience must be balanced with pragmatism and a readiness to compromise. Mill's problem is to strike the correct mix between preserving his populist appeal and making the concessions required to successfully traverse the political landscape. The route forward is riddled with uncertainty, necessitating deft political maneuvering and intelligent decision-making. With that, let's end the video. This is Visionomics, signing out.